Ona Porter is on the line with us, the president and CEO of Prosperity Works out there in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, right, Ona?
Tom, good morning. I'm calling actually from the State House today.
Oh, great. Okay. So tell it. Boy, I'm getting a funky feedback in my... Oh, I see. Ona, we need you to pick up your phone, if you can, and just, and you talk to me on the phone so that your phone audio is the audio that we use, if you could please do that.
Is that better?
And yeah, that's a world better. So, Ona, tell me about what's going on in New Mexico.
Well, Tom, we're about 2.5 days away from the end of our legislative session. We are kind of a rare commodity in the nation where we alternate between 30 and 60-day sessions from year to year. And we have an unpaid legislature. And we, have a lot of difficulty really influencing our legislators. One, because of the system that they are volunteer legislators with no staff, incredibly susceptible then to lobbyists. And the other is, really the role of money in politics as a result of that. Mm-hmm. And we've been working, since before this legislative session on capping predatory lending rates. We're one of the few states that does not have a usury rate. And so have been working really hard to put a 36% cap rate on all storefront lending.
I remember when the usury rate in the United States was, I think, 12%. Richard Nixon did away with it, that nobody could charge more than 12%. It was against the law. It was against federal law, and he had to do away with that because of the inflation back in the 70s.
That's right. That's right. And there was no consideration at that point for what happens to a usury rate during inflation, and that's one of the excuses that was used to do away with it entirely.
Right. Usury being the biblical crime of charging too much interest, or actually any interest. According to the Bible, if you're lending to your own people, you should not be charging any interest. And that's how, for example, Muslim banking is done in most of the world. They charge fees rather than interest.
Right. And here we have a combination of fees and interest in storefront lending that averages close to 400%, but we have seen, and our Supreme Court decision struck down one case, which was over 1,000%.
Wow, 1,000% interest?
Interest.
Wow.
That's correct. That's correct.
So presumably if these companies can get away with gouging people in New Mexico to the tune of 1,000% interest, they are making enough money that they can make life very difficult for you when you come in and say, hey, let's put in a cap, an interest cap of 36%.
Well, that's precisely right. And one of the things that is implied in your statement, Tom, is that people are coming into our state to do this. Mm-hmm. We're kind of the patsies. And in fact, 80% of all of the companies operating in New Mexico and ripping out more than $110 million from the poorest people in our state and the poorest communities are, in fact, out-of-state companies.
Wow. What state are they mostly chartered in, or do you know?
It varies, but I know that Georgia is one of those that has big influence in New Mexico.
Wow. So in New Mexico, working people, poor people are being absolutely screwed by the banksters, by these payday loan banksters, hijacking our democracy. We're talking with Ona Porter, the president and CEO of Prosperity Works, the website ProsperityWorks, WORKS.net. And what can people do who are watching or listening right now? What can they do to help you out?
Well, it really has been an incredible call to action that we have undertaken in New Mexico. And in addition to the website that you just mentioned, Tom, we have one that is called loansharkattack.com, which lists all of the 24 lobbyists that are working on this, some of the highest paid people in our state, and also all the facts about predatory lending and who's operating it and where they're operating, and the incredible list of people who have joined us. There have been 12 municipalities or county commissions that have passed resolutions to end predatory lending in our state. And they have passed that because local jurisdictions have no authority to set rates. So they have also been joined by over 260 clergy people across our state and 50 organizations. And yet, our bills, which were intending to cap all rates at 36%, did not make it out of any committee. They were tabled the first hearing.
That's incredible.
As opposed to some industry bills, which I ran from Albuquerque up here to get on the show today because they may go to the Senate floor for passage today.
So the Republicans in New Mexico who control the legislature there are saying no to protecting working people and poor people in the state from predatory lenders, but they're saying yes to giving more tax breaks and government help to rich people and big corporations. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that really is what's going on. There's no question about it.
This really proves my argument that there's only two kinds of people in the Republican Party. There's rich people and there's suckers. And arguably there's a third category, and that's the professional hustlers who make a living doing what the rich people want them to do, which might be the definition of most of your New Mexico legislators.
Well, that certainly could be at this point. And one of the things that we know as the Republicans took over the House of Representatives is we have, in fact, committee chairs, 6 committee chairs, who are ALEC members. So, we can look at what agenda will be passed and what won't be passed. And protection is not on that agenda. And
it'll all come out of the Koch brothers funded American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC.
That's right. That's exactly what's happening.
Amazing. So if people want to help you stop this, what can they do?
Well, they need to call their senators today and say that they need to push back, that they need to consider consumers over these outrageous profits.
So are you talking about they need to call their New Mexico senators, or they need to call their U.S. senators?
New Mexico senators.
Okay, so our listeners and viewers listening or watching in New Mexico need to call your state senators and say, get with the program here. Let's protect our citizens from abusive lending practices, right?
Yes, and not only what they need to say is do not pass the industry bill. We need a 36% cap rate, period, across the board. What we've experienced in the past, Tom, in 2007, we actually did some controls on payday lending in our state. And the industry, in about 3 hot seconds, really morphed their products to meet a new standard. And now, what used to be about 70% of all the loans made as payday loans has now shifted. That's only about 12%. And so other kinds of loans have emerged that are 31 days in length and so on.
Yeah. So it's sort of like when the mergers and acquisition artists, the M&A artists, when that became a tarnished brand, they changed their names to private equity guys. It's the same thing is happening with these hardcore right wingers and the banks that want to exploit people. When one of their products gets a bad name, they just come up with a new name for it.
Well, that really is what happens, or new terms.
Yeah.
And the reason we have called to action around the 36% rate, it's a flat rate. It is easily monitored. It is anyone who made a loan in New Mexico above that rate, it would be unenforceable. There's no bureaucracy that gets added to this process. It's clear, and it can't be gotten around.
Sounds great. For more information, go to prosperityworks.net, and you can get more information. Ona, what was the other website?
It's loansharkattack.com.
Loansharkattack.com. Thank you, Ona Porter. Thank you.